Delta and United literally reached out to the FAA and said, we can't talk to our pilots. Please inform them we're having problems. This is worse than Y2K. This is what they thought Y2K was going to be. And this was worse.
So welcome to the Monday morning quarterback edition of SaaS Showdown. This is a special SaaS Showdown because for the last 96, 72 hours, everything has been down. So, Rose, thank you for joining us on this Monday morning. We also have our colleague and co-star from other podcasts, Jesse here. So let's talk about it. Crowdstrike, Microsoft updates. What has been happening?
From TV networks like our own to airlines like Delta and United to banks, 9/11 call centers. We're hearing from UPS and FedEx and just so many more companies and industries impacted here.
3,400 flight cancellations on Friday. The airline started catching up over the weekend. Here were the numbers for Saturday and Sunday.
Impacts from the global technology outage at Faulkner Hospital on Friday morning.
We went into a very rudimentary pen and pencil.
So the culprit was, as we know, a faulty update that was sent to all the Crowdstrike agents, which caused all of the Windows 11 and 10, I believe, machines to go into a reboot loop. Windows 7, Windows 8, heaven forbid you're still using them, was not impacted. Macs and Linux weren't impacted. But the impact was, Chromebooks
love my
also,
Mac.
Chromebooks also not impacted. So that was the cause, and the impact was blue screens of death being shown everywhere across all of our TV channels, radio stations describing what was happening. And the systems would just constantly restart and reboot over and over and crash. Impacted healthcare systems, airlines, everything has been cancelled. So, Rose.
Yeah, so obviously in this one, it's a big, major, world-facing kind of issue. So a lot of what we do as IT often gets obscured, but not this time. So Microsoft and CrowdStrike were actively collaborating in the public eye to fix the issue. CrowdStrike released a fix to their agent, and Microsoft even created a recovery tool to expedite the recovery process for IT admins. Microsoft also worked with cloud providers like Azure, AWS, and GCP to help find solutions to resolve the outage. Like we said, it was pretty significant, but it did impact a relatively small portion of devices in the grand scheme of things. Microsoft estimates that it's about 8.5 million Windows devices, which is less than 1% of all Windows machines globally. But as we stated in the pre-show, 1% of a lot is still a lot. So here we are.
8.5 million. That is probably almost everybody in New Jersey. New Jersey has like 9 million people.
True.
So
that's everyone in the Chicago area.
Yeah. If you imagine nobody's working and everybody is just constantly crashing and rebooting in those areas. So it's...
Well, as I was pointing out in the pre-show is, yes, it's only 8.5 million, which is only 1%, but it's 8.5 of almost most of the very, very important computers and servers of the Fortune 500s and 100s that are running a lot of the systems that millions and millions more people use every day.
CrowdStrike has some absolutely very influential and very important customers.
Yes, yeah. If it was 8.5 people at home, it would have been a big problem for a lot of people at home, but wouldn't have been the catastrophic disaster that it has been, with them being, the 8.5 mission critical computers and terminals that ticket agents and everybody, healthcare workers and everybody else, even TV stations, I think, were taken offline. I had one colleague who woke up, he's on the West Coast, woke up to hundreds of emails and pings about the situation. Their corporation was impacted by it. Thankfully, he'd turned his computer off the day before and hadn't got the update. So I haven't found out how he's got around it. I knew he and his colleagues would be very, very busy.
Just air gap.
Yeah, I was going to say, air gap it from that point forward.
It is.
Did he have all of the BitLocker keys for every machine in his org on his computer as well? Because
No.
that's been tough for some folks.
Yes, yeah. So that's, this is where obviously Jesse is a seasoned IT professional. We wanted to bring you in to this special edition of SaaS Showdown to talk about the lessons learned. And it is very difficult for a company to recover from situations like this when it's also going to impact the IT department, because they have to put on the oxygen mask themselves before they start helping other people. So if you can't log into your system to respond to tickets and emails, it's very difficult. The first couple of hours before they knew what the fix was must have been absolutely horrific.
Oh, well, and so I broke the news to the two of you, right? And that was because
I
was doing my regular night owl thing, and my friends in Asia who were just starting their workday were like, "Hey, have you heard what's happening?" And I was like, "No, I haven't heard what's happening." And they were like, "There's some kind of issue with CrowdStrike." And I started Googling, and I was like, "Oh my God." And this was like at 1, 2 in the morning Central Time. So like I was all of our colleagues who were in Asia heard it first, right? Our colleagues on the East Coast and the West Coast and like anywhere in the Americas, like were asleep. Didn't know.
Yeah, and it was
right?
it was insane watching this in real time. So I just pulled up our chat here. It was 11:46 p.m. Pacific time that you sent the message saying this is going on. And I had just gotten home from a friend's wedding that I had been at all evening and was, getting ready to pass out because dancing, weddings, fun, right? And I see this and I'm going through Twitter and I'm like, what is happening? And you could just see it unfolding first in Australia. The only coverage about anything here was Australian websites, Australian news networks, Australian people on Twitter, sorry.
And I heard it from Indonesia. So like very, very similar time zones there.
Yeah. And it was crazy. Like Sky News in the UK suddenly went off the air, and all the news networks that were there were just showing selfies of themselves with their computers in front of them going, we're trying, but everything is dead, and we don't have access to our research. We don't have access to our tools. We don't have access to our communications. I was watching... I think it was CNN at one point, and the guy was in their London office, and he had nothing in front of him. And sorry, dude, it was kind of funny watching him try to get through all the technical jargon of explaining what the hell was going on while they were trying to figure out what was going on. Without a teleprompter, without even notes, he was being fed in real time into his earwig. So he was like, I did this CrowdStrike something, Windows is offline, we're getting this now, I'm only hearing it as we talk. Apparently there's a big outage happening, and it's not just limited to Australia, it's now UK. It was just like painful to watch.
Network looks like they are experiencing some sort of problem right now. CrowdStrike issues is what is happening here tonight. I'm just being told in my ear.
Wow. Yeah. So obviously the three of us cover 3 time zones, Eastern, Central, and Pacific. So sort of saw the scale of it, and it was, lucky for Rose to be up so late to hear about it, to ping you, and then obviously you did your breaking news video to get outlaying the situation for everybody. So obviously there's going to be a lot of Monday morning quarterbacks doing an analysis. There's a lot of misinformation going out there on the cause, something about a null value. I'm not a programmer or a developer. I can turn the TV on and I can set the DVR, but I cannot script or do anything else. So what do we think the conspiracy theories of the cause are? Is this
Jesse, hit us with the conspiracy theories.
Oh yeah, so I'm big on Twitter. I've got all the memes. First of all, if you want the memes, I'll try and post a thread on Twitter and link to it in the show notes. The memes have been fantastic. The conspiracy theories have been, as usual, off the wall, completely insane. I like to clarify first. It's not a Microsoft outage. This wasn't caused by Microsoft. Yes, Microsoft gave them extremely high-level root access, but as we saw clarified by the head of comms for Microsoft, Frank Shaw, Microsoft cannot legally wall off its operating system in the same way that Apple does because of an understanding it reached with the European Commission following a complaint. In 2009, it agreed it would give makers of security software the same level of access to Windows that Microsoft gets. And I'm guessing that was an antitrust monopoly play because they also have Windows Defender, and obviously it's not fair to the other guys. And so, and that was a quote from the tweet, which I'll try to throw up on the screen here when I edit this. But this is what we're seeing a lot from the early minutes of this breaking and as it rolled around the world, and even still today, where everybody recognizes in one way or another the blue screen of death, and that's what everyone is seeing. And so they're going, "Oh, it's Microsoft's fault. Microsoft has screwed this up and caused all of the systems around the world to go down." And as you pointed out earlier, it's Microsoft has actually really come to the table with a total teamwork approach and has worked with all of these providers and companies, and even with CrowdStrike, of course, to release their own tools to make it easier. We had a little bit of technical difficulties there. It's been a little while since I've done a meeting with online. These days I've been recording just solo, so I guess I'm a little rusty at this. And I am still hearing a little bit of crackle, but hopefully that's not coming through on the recording here. But essentially, I've got all of the memes, and even as we were saying, like, people are attributing this to Microsoft. The memes are reflecting that as well, and so it's talking about how Windows users are the only ones that are getting screwed by this, and it's the blue screen of death, and so everyone is recognizing that around the world, including some advertising that I saw. Actually, KitKat did, and I'll throw this up on the screen when I edit it. KitKat did an ad where it shows the blue screen of death, but in the red KitKat color, with a KitKat sticking out of the smiley face. It says, "You deserve a much-needed restart too. Have a break. Have a KitKat," with a QR code to KitKat. McDonald's did an ad, got the BSOD with the upside-down smile, and then said, "Have a HM for a Happy Meal," and flipped the smile into the McDonald's smile. So some really clever, when shit hits the fan, sometimes you get brands that respond tastefully and well, and I think that's what we got there. And I really enjoyed
when
that.
the world gives you lemons, you have to make lemonade. So it's good that some people were making light of it. There was a lot of posts. LinkedIn was incredibly active. I don't think virtually, I would be surprised if anybody that was impacted, any IT professionals that were impacted, were actually looking at LinkedIn that day. They were probably very, very focused on...
I was going to say, if this was happening to me in real time, I would not be checking social
Nowhere
media.
near social.
No. So... thankfully, it didn't happen to any of us because of the platforms, the systems, the organization. I'm 100%, Chrome OS and Google Workspace.
Yep.
But
this crowd is 100% Windows free.
Yes. Lessons learned and recommendations for CIOs and CISOs for maybe some holiday vacation time reading later on this summer, because a lot of people's vacations have been delayed due to flight cancellations. My neighbors were supposed to be flying back on Friday, or their flights got cancelled, and they the whole family sort of came over in dribs and drabs over the weekend and landed the last of them this morning. So a lot of people's vacations have been impacted. Reading and things that CISOs should be looking at doing coming in the next quarter.
Everybody should reread The Unicorn Project by Gene Kim, which is the DevOps kind of handbook of don't push to production on Friday, for starters. Novel about developers, digital disruption, and thriving the age of data. And if you're, for the IT side, before that is the Phoenix Project, of course. Those go hand in hand. And that's one of the key cornerstones there is don't do that.
I did see that on LinkedIn, somebody had dug out. I'm trying to find. I took a snapshot of it and shared it with colleagues. There was a 2024 State of Application Security report that CrowdStrike themselves had put out, and it had a percentage value of companies that don't do correct security audits on their patching or their applications before deploying them.
That sounds like it's going to be a lot.
And this is like, this is key findings. This was it, and we can put it in the show notes. Only about half of all major code changes go through full security reviews, and that is in a CrowdStrike.
Does that apply to CrowdStrike as well?
I do not know. I do not know, but yes,
Because that's one of the things, we're talking about lessons learned here, and I think that we need to be paying attention the next couple of weeks, because we're not going to know. Like, they put out a technical analysis, people are trying to understand it. Like you said, it's highly technical. This is a level of code and computing that most people, even in IT, do not understand. And honestly, it's people are talking about how the CEO of CrowdStrike was the CTO of McAfee when they took down the world back in 2003. And it's like, well, maybe he shouldn't be the guy with the button anymore. Like, that's not a great track record there. And, he started CrowdStrike. He left after that and did his thing for a while and then started CrowdStrike. And now it's happened again. And so, you try to stay away from conspiracy stuff. But, you got to look at why these systems are able to do what they're able to do.
CrowdStrike is a good system. Like, they do have big customers and they do really good work. I mean, in terms of relationship to the show, like, it is SaaS, even though some of it is operating locally on people's computers, right? But I think we're not debating the necessity and purpose of a company like CrowdStrike, but
well,
it's quite a coincidence there.
I think
the
the necessity is due to Windows 11 and Windows 10 being the way it is, and the flaws that it has, and the compromises that happen, and all the ransomware and malware and network intrusions that happen. So, we generally talk about SaaS. Rose and I work in a SaaS-based environment. If corporations are going zero trust, moving to the cloud, and only needing a browser, do they need big fat Windows clients on their network? Should they be using some other Chrome OS based system?
Never been hacked. Just putting that out there.
Never. I know there have been some Chrome OS updates that have caused some problems with some devices, so it can happen.
Have they blue screen of death problems?
Not that I've seen.
No, I think there was one version of the automatic update did cause a problem with one batch of Chrome.
They rolled back. What was it, 120 or something?
Some of that. It was some time ago, and it wasn't every machine.
This wasn't every machine either, but
yeah.
As we stated,
it's
worth considering how many of your devices like you no longer need a Windows client for, because if you look, I saw photos of like airline terminals, basically like check-in baggage terminals and stuff.
Yeah.
Blue screen of death, and I was like, why are those windows under there? Like, that's a really big operating system to run a single app all the time.
Yeah. I've seen at Newark years ago the little Windows 7 pop up saying this version of Windows 7 is counterfeit. That's not good when you're walking through a terminal that must have cost a few billion to build, and all the airlines can certainly afford the license.
That's the crazy thing about this. That's the crazy thing about this also, is you talk about it being SaaS and cloud controlled. The fix for this apparently is physical access to every single machine. You know how long it takes to get physical access on 8.5 million machines?
Do you know these are? Yeah. And do you know how difficult it is to get to like a Windows 11 command, safe boot prompt? Today's laptops and computers, they post so quickly. You have like a nanosecond to press F8 or F2, F10,
and you never know which key it is, so you just mash them all.
Yeah. It's
well, and in a lot of these cases, I would imagine there's not an IT professional doing it. It's an IT professional guiding someone else through it, which is worse.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that, people talking about that on Twitter. And the thing that really got me is the larger networks that are talking about this have kind of, for the most part, moved on. Like, oh, okay, there's a fix. This is over. This isn't over. Like, there are hospitals that have delayed surgeries by weeks, and flights that are still being delayed. Delta last night canceled another, 1,000 or a couple thousand flights from today across the U.S., and they're still trying to bring those things online. And a little bit of comedic relief. Southwest is like, screw you guys. We're running Windows 3.1.
I was about to say, yes.
But as far as learnings go, I think it's important to look at, okay, well, this doesn't seem to have gone through a testing process when this update went out. Like, this was so widespread. This is not something that was a fluke in a lab that got a few thousand computers. This was everywhere. Everything, anybody that was running the Falcon agent from CrowdStrike that was running Windows 10 or 11 got hit with this. And why was something this monumental or this, high level able to go out without going through some round of testing, and on a Friday, no less?
Yeah.
There's definitely two levels here, right? Because there's the understanding the root cause, which is the CrowdStrike bit, and like managing your risk in association to that. That's something that we all have to do as people who use SaaS, like, and people who invest in SaaS and have our infrastructure working on SaaS. That's just like the nature of the beast. Like, sometimes something's going to happen, and that thing could be good, could be bad. Like, you need to know how you're going to deal with it. I think the other thing is this exposed a lot of the inefficiencies, I want to say, with people's environments. And there's a way to form your environment so that addressing problems like this are easier for you, right? And don't take as long to recover from, and or sometimes don't even happen in the first place because you're holding your patches, right?
Yeah.
So we've got two angles. There's CrowdStrike did this, and that's bad. But there's also like your environment may not be as efficient as you need it to be in order to recover from something like this.
Yeah. I think everybody's disaster recovery business continuity plan was stretched, and
that was cool. Watching in real time is you got to see airlines and other companies rolling this out in real time as airlines in Asia were writing, like printing with their hand boarding passes, handwritten, and you get to see how and what those disaster recovery plans are. The one thing to note, though, is that all of the bad guys are now able to see who's using CrowdStrike, and that possible vulnerability of knowing that the biggest providers are all on one platform makes CrowdStrike now in the crosshairs, and now they know their disaster recovery plans are printed boarding passes. Like, how are they verifying I have a ticket? Like, that was one of my questions about this is, companies that are doing this, is all that data is gone and locked down. How do you, like, yeah, sure, I'm flying. It sounds like a great way for a convicted felon to get out of the country.
Yeah.
I booked a flight. Bye.
The other thing that it raises is the reliance on auto updates. So obviously a lot of companies and software relies on auto updates because it mitigates that 0-day exploit, and automatic updates works 99.999% of the time. It's that 0.001% when it doesn't, and it takes down 8.5 million devices. So a lot of lessons learned. Thank you both for coming in and being Monday morning quarterbacks here, or Monday evening quarterbacks, Tuesday morning quarterbacks when this hits YouTube.
I'm going to try and get this out sooner. Yeah.
But yeah, we, our hearts go out to IT admins who have been impacted and been working probably nonstop for the last X number of hours. Everybody who's lost money from their business, had flights delayed, the knockout, will be huge. And this isn't over, because there will be, I think, congressional inquiries, and there'll be the FFA, the FCC, every three-letter agency will do a review of what happened, and we do globally need to have better safeguards so that we don't have these sort of events in the future. So
more air-gapped machines for those important folks, so that you can just pull that up when you need it.
Or more Chrome OS, which I'm always a big fan of. Thank you, Rose and Jesse.
Thank you.